Hey, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, and you know what? You are a bigot. Yes, you. Oh, you don't tolerate that statement? Ha ha ha! Told you were a bigot. Here's a question that's going to take you by surprise. Do you believe bigotry is wrong? I only ask because everyone is a bigot. What are you bigoted about is the question. So here is the definition of bigotry. I get it from Merriam-Webster, who refuses to shut up. That woman won't keep her mouth shut. Anyways, bigot, a person who is obstinately or intolerantly devoted to his own opinions and prejudices, especially one who regards or treats the members of a group, which is ideological, with hatred and intolerance. But here's where it gets tricky. Listen to the definition of convictions. A firmly held belief or opinion. So apparently, the nuances one man's bigotry could be another man's creed. So the odd truth is perhaps you should be bigoted towards some stuff. For example, I believe it's better to debate my enemies than it is to eat them. I admit it. I'm bigoted towards those of you who choose cannibalism to persuasion. How about people that drive on the wrong side of the road? I gotta say, I'm bigoted in my beliefs towards those who claim the right to drive headlong into me at 90 miles an hour because they are having a bad day and they want to let everybody else in on it. I'm a bigot towards that. And so are you. Here's the word we hear thrown around all the time, Nazi. It's bandied around all the time. People have even called me a Nazi, and I didn't even get a helmet. So people who call other people Nazis are clearly bigoted towards Nazism. And they're completely intolerant of it as well, and they should be. What I'm trying to get you to see is the power of words and how they can be used for good or evil, to control others or to set them free. Because obviously, the word bigot comes with a lot more baggage than the word convictions. One seems immoral. The other seems virtuous. Remember, whoever controls the words controls the culture. You know, whenever the word bigot is used nowadays, it usually conjures up ideas of the 60s. You know, the civil rights movement of black Americans, though they weren't black back then. What? Are you saying something evil and racist? No. I was reading the statements and letters of Martin Luther King Jr., and I realized the proper reference was Negro. King specifically referenced to his cause as a fight for equality of Negroes. Now, that is a word we rarely use anymore, so sometimes just using it makes you feel uncomfortable. This is ridiculous. There may be some debate as to what moniker African Americans prefer to be called, but there is no debate that one of the most abused people that have ever entered into this great American experiment was the African, who was forcefully taken from his home and brought here to be utilized as a slave. It's a sad stain on the history of our country, and one even the founding fathers knew couldn't last if this country's ideals were ever going to be manifest completely. So I admire black Americans for their incredible fortitude in the midst of unimaginable horror, and in spite of their unfair plight at the beginning of this country, they have gone on in a few hundred years to reach the ranks of Secretary of State, CEOs, how about even President of the United States? Under unprecedented handicaps, they've accomplished great things, which, in the end, should inspire us all. For those who choose to see clearly, proves the American dream is real. There is no French dream, just American. Here's a true story. I was once talking to a friend of mine, a comedian, who is of a darker hue than I, and I found it interesting that he changed his self-reference 3 times within the course of a conversation. So within 20 minutes, he referred to himself as black, African American, and even people of color. So I ask you, my fellow Americans who desire freedom and are sick of PC, has the PC word police so infiltrated our psyches that people are now being careful not to offend themselves? He then made a statement that got me thinking about the idea of bigotry in the form of racism. He told me that an African American couldn't be a racist. So when I asked for a clarification, he says, you couldn't be a racist unless you belong to the race that was in power. No, I don't think that's how it works. If you're a human, then you're flawed, no matter what color you come in. When we speak of racism, I think most people are talking about superiority. And here's the problem, and I know this is going to throw you because I'm about to use some common sense, and apparently sense isn't common anymore in America, but let me try. Doesn't it appear, and I'm just throwing this out there, I could be wrong, but doesn't it appear superficially that some groups of humans do seem to excel at certain areas? I mean, the bigger question is, are we suddenly uncomfortable? Are we allowed to talk about that? I mean, isn't that what we always hear? We need a bigger national discussion. Let's have one then. All right, if we see that black humans seem to excel at jumping, for example, over whites at the elite level, then so be it. Sorry, I don't see a lot of Chinese excelling at high hurdles. Whereas, when it comes to world-class accordion players, whites dominate. In your face, Michael Jordan. Comedy was supposed to be a way of helping us acknowledge our differences, and more importantly, find humor in them. Richard Pryor made an art form out of the way he compared how white people did things compared to blacks. And in the end, what we found in these racist, stereotyping caricatures wasn't division, common ground. Whites were able to see how we were seen by blacks, and we laughed at ourselves. I mean, seriously, where would black comics be if they weren't able to mock how badly white guys like me dance or can't? I mean, who hasn't heard this observation a million times? And who hasn't laughed? Now, Baryshnikov, Nureyev, Fred Astaire, Bob Fosse kind of prove the white guys can't dance assumption. It's wrong. So why is this racist caricature and observation funny? Because it's not racist. It's racial, referencing a racial element, but it's not racist, not demeaning, not undignifying, not putting down. What has happened is these PC folks have decided to make everything that refers to race evil. It's not! Catch the difference! It's culture's way of teaching us to laugh at our differences instead of fight about them, which can bring us closer together as Americans. The statement, white guys can't dance or jump, clearly isn't true in all cases. But we find it funny because from an African American perspective, we just don't dance normally like them. Not being threatened and offended by statements like these, it allows us. It allows us to find humor in those places where we don't really relate, where we're more different than the same, which allows us to be honest with each other, the essential starting point to finding common ground. So, America, quit the oversensitive BS and let's get to laughing at differences again, like what used to be considered adult behavior. I'll even start. I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to admit on national television I have ethnic inequalities. For example, I can't jump, can't dance, can't rap, can't play jazz, can't run fast, and don't clap on the downbeat, mainly because I don't even know what that means. I'm just me, the way God made me in this color. And I love everybody and all their idiosyncrasies and superior achievements, and many people are superior to me. But please, get over yourself and let comedians laugh and make fun of this stuff. Only freedom is funny. So let me ask you this. should we be able to talk about racial differences without being deemed racist? Do you have the courage to comment below? What if we actually find some common ground and start having fun again in America? This is God's Comic, Brad Stine. And remember, join the PC-free movement, because PC-free is liberty. And if you simply can't do so, put a helmet on. Hope you enjoyed that. All you bigots out there, like and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell too, because that's going to receive your updates and let you remind yourself that you're a bigot. And you can even watch some of these videos, and if you don't like them, you can tell everybody what a bigoted way you see those. Heck, I'm opening up your life to a whole new freedom, aren't I, bigot? Bigamy, huh? Well, that's a different.